Have you ever had that unsettling sense that something just wasn't right about someone? That invisible weight in the air, a subtle discomfort, as if their very presence drained the energy from the room. You can't put your finger on it, but deep down, you know something's off. Evil, after all, doesn't always announce itself with a growl or a villain's mask. It rarely makes a grand entrance. Instead, it wears a smile, speaks with charm, and often pretends to be helpful. These individuals don't need a reason to harm, they do it because it's in their nature. My name is Epictetus, by the way. I'm a Stoic philosopher who was, once upon a time, a former slave. Born in 4 BCE, and let me tell you, it was a wild time back before Wi-Fi existed. Now I've got some insider tips on spotting red flags, because back in my day, people were pledging their allegiances left and right. And trust me, I had my fair share of encounters with them. So, I'd like to walk you through 7 of the most lethal red flag situations, ones that just poke at everything they can plant their staffs inside of. And I mean, anything and everything, like, if they could see it, they would always try to find a way to plant their staffs inside of something, just so they could become one with the wind on a wonderfully windy day. But once you know what their favorite Pokemon are, oh, you won't just avoid pain, you'll plant way harder than that, and you'll defeat their Pokemon in a head-to-head battle. There are unmistakable warning signs and red flags that, if you're paying attention, will reveal a person's true character. Recognizing them can not only protect your peace, but also safeguard your very sense of self. In this video, I'll walk you through 7 powerful red flags that expose toxic, manipulative individuals in your life. Master these, and you won't just avoid pain, you'll reclaim your strength. But before we dive in, if you're ready to protect your peace and elevate your mindset, consider subscribing. Let's get started. Red flag number 1, they constantly lie or manipulate the truth. Trust is built on truth, and without it, relationships crumble. Yet an evil person doesn't just disregard the truth, they intentionally twist it. They lie not because they have to, but because they want to. Deception is not just a tool for them, it's their way of life. They manipulate, deceive, and control. Not with brute force, but through the slow, quiet erosion of your confidence, your peace, and even your grip on reality. In Stoicism, we are taught to guard our minds and spirits, recognizing what is within our control. One of the most vital life skills is learning to spot those who wish to harm us before they get too close. Because let's face it, evil is rarely obvious until it's too late. But here's the good news. Evil always leaves clues. They lie to control, to manipulate, and to keep you in a constant state of doubt, questioning what's real and what's not. At first, their lies might seem harmless, small exaggerations here, slight distortions there. But over time, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. One moment they tell you something with total confidence, and the next they deny it entirely. If you push back, they act offended, accusing you of misremembering, of being overly sensitive, or of making things up. Slowly, doubt starts creeping in. Did I misunderstand? Maybe I'm overthinking it. And that's the trap. A malicious liar doesn't just deceive, they gaslight. They twist the events so you begin second-guessing your own memory, your own instincts. One moment, you're sure of the truth, the next, you're lost in a fog of confusion. This, of course, is by design. A confused mind is an easy mind to control. Think of all the times they could have told the truth but didn't. Times when honesty cost them nothing. Yet they chose to lie. Why? Because lying isn't just about avoiding consequences for them. It's about power. They lie to test boundaries, to create an advantage, to see how much they can get away with. They twist facts, fabricate stories, and distort words, not because they have to, but because they can. And the most unsettling part, they don't feel guilty. A Stoic understands that clarity of mind is key to living a virtuous life. If someone constantly manipulates the truth, they're not just dishonest, they're dangerous. Every interaction with them becomes a mental battlefield, leaving you drained and unsure of what's real. That's exactly what they want. But you don't have to play their game. If someone in your life fits this pattern, don't brush it off as a bad habit or minor character flaw. It's a red flag right in front of you. The longer you tolerate their deceit, the more control they gain over your thoughts, emotions, and perception of reality. Ask yourself, are you always questioning your own perception around them? Do you feel like something is always off? If so, step back. Protect your mind and trust your instinct. An evil person will never hand you the truth. It's up to you to see it for yourself. Red flag number 2, they love conflict. A sure sign that you're dealing with someone whose intentions are far from virtuous is their unrelenting obsession with conflict. While most people seek harmony, preferring to address disagreements with kindness, or at the very least maintaining a respectful distance from chaos, these individuals seem to be drawn to discord like moths to a flame. They sow the seeds of disharmony, orchestrating drama around them as if it were an art form, and they delight in every performance. Stoic philosophy teaches us that external events like conflict are often beyond our control, but our response, our inner discipline, and our tranquility are always within our grasp. These conflict-driven personalities, however, aim to shatter that inner peace. They thrive on drama, feeding off the tension it creates, constantly fueling misunderstanding and unrest. Sometimes they don't need a reason to stir the pot. Causing chaos is its own reward. Consider the subtle ways they operate. They plant seeds of doubt in your mind about others or stir up old grudges. They may feign innocence, but in reality, they're the architects of strife. A passing comment here, a suggestive glance there, and suddenly the room is filled with suspicion. They don't just observe conflict, they orchestrate it. Imagine a family gathering. You're sharing laughter and fond memories when this person casually drops a remark that sets two relatives against each other. Within moments, the atmosphere shifts from light-hearted camaraderie to silent tension. It's almost as if they've been waiting for the perfect moment to strike, carefully planning the disruption for maximum emotional impact. Meanwhile, they stand back, watching the confusion unfold like a spectator at a tragic play. In the face of conflict, a Stoic mindset teaches us that we cannot always control the storms others unleash, but we can safeguard our inner peace. But those who thrive on conflict do more than stir the pot. They feed off the heartbreak, the tension, and the fractured relationships. If confronted, they rarely take responsibility. Instead, they claim they were just speaking the truth or that others are overreacting. What's most alarming is their utter lack of empathy. They don't value harmony or connection. They feed off the negative energy that conflict brings. To them, creating chaos is a form of entertainment, a reminder that they have power over others' emotions. But your best strategy is to uphold the boundaries of your inner peace. If you sense someone in your life is constantly steering conversations toward confrontation, or is suspiciously gleeful when tensions run high, take it as a warning sign. You deserve to be surrounded by those who value harmony, respect, and empathy, not those who thrive on creating strife for their own amusement. Protect your mental well-being by setting firm boundaries. Life is too precious to be spent in the company of those who treat relationships as stages for endless conflict. As the Stoics advised, remain vigilant, choose wisely who you allow into your circle, and walk away when necessary from those whose chaos can only drag you down. Red flag number 3, they make you feel like you're always at fault. A mind clouded with doubt is one that can easily be controlled. And those who wish to manipulate understand this principle all too well. They don't need chains or explicit threats to bind you, just a slow, steady erosion of your confidence turning your own sense of reality into something you can no longer trust. This is the dark art of gaslighting. At first, it's subtle. You express frustration and they insist you're overreacting. You remember an event a certain way and they tell you it never even happened. You bring up something they said that hurt you and they mock you for being too sensitive. Over time, you start second-guessing yourself. Did I misunderstand, you wonder? Am I being too emotional? Maybe the problem isn't them. Maybe it's me. That's exactly what they want. Someone who truly cares about you, listens to you, even when they disagree. But a manipulator? They don't seek understanding, they seek control. Their goal is to destabilize you, to make you question your own mind until you begin relying on them to define what's real. The more you doubt yourself, the stronger their grip becomes. Picture this. You're in an argument. You know you're right. You can clearly recall the conversation, but they insist you're mistaken. They twist the details, rewrite the events, and make you feel foolish for even bringing it up. Suddenly, you're not just defending your point, you're defending your sanity. The Stoics teach us to trust reason, to see things as they are, and to hold fast to what we know to be true. Gaslighting, however, is designed to lead you away from truth, to make you question even your own judgment. And once you start seeking validation from others for something you already know in your core, you hand over control of your mind. So, if someone is constantly making you feel like you're the problem, dismissing your emotions, or distorting your reality, take it as a warning. You do not owe loyalty to someone who poisons your sense of self. Stand firm. Trust your perception. You are not crazy. You are not overreacting. And you certainly don't need their permission to believe in your own reality. Red flag number 4. They always play the victim. Life is full of challenges. No one is spared from hardship. But a strong person confronts difficulties with resilience, taking responsibility for their choices and actions. An evil person, however, wears their victimhood like armor. It shields them from accountability while turning their struggles into a weapon to manipulate others. To them, nothing is ever their fault. It's always the world, their past, the people around them, anyone but themselves. When things go wrong, they don't reflect and grow. They point fingers, and even worse, they expect you to buy into their narrative. They want you to feel sorry for them, to excuse their behavior because, after all, they've had it so tough. At first, it may seem like harmless self-pity, but as time passes, you'll start to see the pattern. Their problems never improve, no matter how much you help. Their misfortunes always seem exaggerated, their suffering always worse than anyone else's. They drain you emotionally, using your empathy as a leash, keeping you tethered to their endless cycle of misery. And if you dare to hold them accountable, if you try to establish a boundary, suddenly they turn the tables. "How could you do this to me?" they'll ask. "You're the one hurting me." Now you're the villain. Your reasonable request becomes an attack, and their refusal to change becomes your fault. They twist reality, making you question whether you were too harsh, too insensitive, too selfish for putting your own well-being first. This is not just emotional manipulation. This is control. The Stoics remind us that while we cannot control external events, we always have the power to control our response to them. A person who refuses to take responsibility for their life is not just weak, they are dangerous. Because when someone can never own their actions, they will always find a way to place the burden on you. Ask yourself, are you constantly making excuses for them? Do you feel guilty when setting basic boundaries? Have you been drawn into their endless cycle of problems, only to realize they don't want solutions, just more sympathy? If so, it's time to step back. You are not responsible for fixing someone who refuses to help themselves. You don't owe your time, energy, or loyalty to relationships built on guilt and manipulation. A person who clings to their victimhood at the expense of others isn't just toxic. They are a threat to your peace. Recognize the pattern. Refuse to be controlled by their false narrative. And most importantly, walk away. Red flag number 5. They constantly criticize you but never celebrate your victories. There's a particular type of poison that doesn't strike you all at once. It slowly eats away at your strength. It's relentless, subtle criticism. It doesn't come in the form of direct attacks or blatant insults. No, it creeps in through carefully chosen words, small, seemingly insignificant comments that point out your flaws but never your triumphs. An evil person will never take a moment to celebrate your wins. No matter how much effort you put in, no matter how much you grow or achieve, it will never be enough for them. If you reach a milestone, they'll belittle it. If you improve, they'll shift the bar. And if you dare to feel proud of your own progress, they'll be there to remind you of everything you could have done better. Imagine this. You've worked tirelessly for weeks on a project, pushing your limits, determined to give your best. Finally, you succeed, eager to share your success with someone close to you. And their response? A cold shrug or a dismissive, "Well, that's good, but you could have done better." Or worse, they compare your achievement to theirs, reminding you that they've done more, accomplished more, and always will. This isn't constructive criticism. It's an intentional erosion of your spirit. A Stoic knows that external praise is fleeting, but even the most resilient mind can be chipped away by unending negativity. Evil people know this well. They don't want to see you flourish. They want to see you question your worth. They want to plant seeds of self-doubt until, over time, their voice becomes the one you believe over your own. Here's the truly insidious part. While they tear down your accomplishments, they elevate their own. They boast about their superiority, their success, their brilliance, always positioning themselves above you. It's not just about making you feel insignificant, it's about making themselves feel powerful. But remember this, their words do not define you. The Stoics teach us that we should measure ourselves by our principles, our own progress, not by the opinions of those who seek to diminish us. If someone in your life is constantly criticizing you and never lifting you up, ask yourself, what do they gain from this? And more importantly, what are you losing by letting them stay? No one has the right to make you feel unworthy. Recognize the pattern, protect your mind. Never allow someone else's bitterness to define your value. Walk away from those who seek to tear you down. Your growth is not theirs to control. Red flag number 6. They lack empathy and compassion. If there's one trait that separates the virtuous from the wicked, it's empathy, the ability to feel with others, to share in their joy and sorrow, to truly understand the humanity of those around us. This is what binds us together as people, but an evil person, they don't feel, not for you, not for anyone. Their indifference is chilling. You could be drowning in grief, crushed by a personal loss, or overwhelmed by failure, and they would stand there unmoved. If they acknowledge your pain at all, it will be with cold detachment, or worse, they'll twist the moment to make it about themselves, acting as though your emotions are an inconvenience. Imagine suffering a deep personal loss, a death, a heartbreak, or a failure, and turning to them for solace, hoping for just a sliver of comfort. But instead, you get nothing. A blank stare, a shrug, a dismissive remark like, "It happens to everyone." In that moment, their lack of humanity becomes impossible to ignore. The Stoics teach us resilience, to manage our emotions in the face of adversity. But they never advocate for coldness. True strength doesn't lie in apathy. It lies in knowing when to act with wisdom and compassion. Evil people, however, mistake emotional emptiness for strength. They see others not as fellow human beings but as tools, things to be used, discarded, or ignored when they no longer serve a purpose. Their absence of feeling creates a suffocating presence. When you're around them, you don't feel seen, you feel invisible, you don't feel understood, you feel alone. And that's exactly how they want you to feel, because when you're isolated, they have control. But let me remind you, you are not small, you are not invisible. If someone consistently dismisses your pain, refuses to acknowledge your struggles, or treats your existence as insignificant, believe them. That is who they are. A person without empathy isn't just emotionally distant or bad at expressing feelings, they're dangerous. If they can't care about your pain, they won't hesitate to cause it. If so, recognize the warning signs, protect your spirit, and never waste your time trying to find warmth from someone who has none to offer. The absence of empathy isn't just a flaw, it's a red flag. Walk away before their emptiness drains you completely. Red flag number 7. They are always jealous. I remember the day I earned a long-awaited promotion, an opportunity I had spent years working toward. But instead of celebrating with me, a colleague smirked and said, "Looks like the company is favoring you." It wasn't a congratulation. It was something else, laced with doubt, tinged with resentment, a subtle jab designed to make me question whether I had truly earned it. And it didn't stop there. Every milestone I reached was met with skepticism. Are you sure it's because of your talent, or was it just luck? This is what jealousy looks like. It doesn't always show up as blatant hostility. Sometimes it sneaks in as a backhanded compliment, a passive-aggressive remark, or an awkward silence when you share your good news. It's the hesitation before someone forces out a half-hearted, "Oh, that's great." It's the shift in their energy the moment you start to rise. They won't always attack you outright. Instead, they plant seeds of doubt, small, quiet remarks that slowly chip away at your confidence, making you wonder if you truly deserve your success. A jealous person doesn't just want what you have, they want you to second-guess it, shrink away from it, and feel guilty for having it. Because if they can't have it, neither should you. And if they can't stop your success, they'll try to make you feel unworthy of it. You've seen it before. You share a personal win and, rather than encouragement, they find a way to diminish it. "Well, if I had your opportunities, I could have done that too." "That's nothing, I've done way bigger things." Or worse, they shift the focus to their own struggles, subtly making you feel guilty for your progress. Must be nice to have things work out for you. Some of us don't get those chances. At first, it seems small, but over time, the pattern becomes undeniable. Their resentment isn't about you, it's about their own inadequacy. But instead of working on themselves, they fixate on you. Instead of growing, they resent your growth. And here's the truth. A truly secure person doesn't envy the success of others. They are inspired by it, motivated by it. A whole person doesn't need to tear others down. They focus on building themselves up. But a jealous person, their self-worth is fragile. They see life as a competition where every achievement you earn feels like a personal attack on their failures. They don't see your hard work, your sacrifices, your struggles. They only see what they lack. Seneca, in Letters from a Stoic, warns us about envy. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. A Stoic doesn't measure their success against the achievements of others. They focus on their own path, their own progress, because jealousy, at its core, is self-inflicted suffering. It is the pain of comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. And those who live in envy will always try to bring others down, because it's easier than raising themselves up. So, how do you protect yourself from these people? First, recognize their patterns. If someone consistently downplays your success, shifts the focus to themselves, or makes you feel guilty for winning, pay attention. Jealousy isn't usually a one-time event, it's a mindset. Second, never dim your light to make them comfortable. You don't owe anyone an apology for your progress. You don't have to shrink yourself to spare their ego. A true friend, a true ally, will celebrate your success, not compete with it. And third, distance yourself. Jealousy doesn't just stay in words, it festers. It turns into silent sabotage, into toxic resentment. The more you engage, the more you invite their negativity into your life. So, protect your peace. Surround yourself with those who uplift, not those who undermine. Look around. Who reacts with warmth when you succeed? And who reacts with bitterness? There's your answer. Because at the end of the day, your success is not their failure. But a jealous person will never see it that way. I know this can be a lot to absorb. Recognizing these red flags isn't always easy, especially when your emotions are invested and you want to believe the best in someone. But understanding these signs can save you from years of unnecessary pain, manipulation, and self-doubt. Evil people don't always show up with warning signs. They slip into your life unnoticed, slowly chipping away at your confidence, your peace, and your sense of self. But here's the truth. You don't owe your energy to those who drain you. The moment you spot these patterns, you have a choice. You can step back, protect yourself, and reclaim your power. Even if it's difficult, even if it means walking away from someone you once trusted. Your peace is worth more than their presence.
And remember, you're stronger than you think you are. Always.
So, with all that being said, thanks again for listening through this whole 6 Flags extravaganza. If this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever encountered someone like this? How did you handle it? Or are you still in the process of navigating that situation? Share your story in the comments. You never know who might need to hear it. And if you're on a journey of self-growth and self-protection, make sure to subscribe. There's so much more to explore about recognizing toxic people, building resilience, and mastering your mindset. Until next time, take care of your heart, guard your mind, and always trust your instincts.